Moving on. House of the Drone.
Yeah, something else to complain about, and that's George R.R. Martin.
Yes.
Well, let's get through this one before we jump on him for the next one.
Oh, for the love of Mike. I'm sorry.
I know.
Or for the love of George in this case, I guess I should say.
I guess.
Anyway, House of the Dragon and Rings of Power facing epic headaches. Call the banners.
Shocking.
And muster the dragons. There is trouble in the kingdoms. HBO's big budget fantasy epic House of the Dragon and Amazon's even bigger budget fantasy epic Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power are encountering a hailstorm of catapulted projectiles. I'm sure for the price of this one season Rings of Power, we could have gotten a completed Outer Range series, right? Just saying.
Yeah.
For Rings, the issue is familiar. The $715 million series, which debuted 2 years ago to strong ratings and fandom discord, unveiled the first 4 episodes of its new season. The consensus is this new run is firmly an improvement, but some critics and fans maintain it's not as strong as it should be. Many contrast the show to Peter Jackson's Oscar-winning trilogy, and how can you not, even though that saga arguably set an impossibly high bar for the prequel series to follow. But it's not a prequel to that. Never mind. Okay, the show's Rotten Tomatoes scores are similar to the first season, a very good 83% among critics, a disappointing 58% among fans, some percentage of whom seem angrily determined to watch every episode while simultaneously insisting the show is unwatchable, helping feed a cottage industry of rings-bashing content creators. You bad people out there, you. We're not affiliated with you. I'm kidding. As for the Rings ratings, third-party services show a steep drop from the series debut season. The spin from Amazon goes like this. Of course the ratings are down. They were so huge last time. There is something to this. Even Prime Video hits like Fallout and The Boys haven't matched Rings season 1 on a global basis. Fallout did top the show in the United States because people like that show.
Yeah.
Anyway, Amazon says the new season is doing well internationally, is on track to be a top 5 season for Prime Video. The company also said 40 million viewers worldwide had watched at least some of the first 3 new Rings of Power episodes through the sophomore season's first 11 days. The company did not make clear, however, how much of the season or an episode those 40 million people viewed. A third season has been in the works for months, though it has not been officially green-lighted. After seeing season 2's premiere ratings, sources tell The Hollywood Reporter the company remains committed to the show's original 5-season plan. Oh, they're going to finish this thing. If they got money to burn over there, I guess. There is House of the Dragon, whose problems are more interesting. The second season incensed some fans after spending 8 episodes, leading to a massive cliffhanger, a climactic battle sequence that was pushed from a shortened season 2 to season 3, apparently for budget reasons, which has led to more David Zaslav ruins everything chatter online. In the ratings, the season dipped about 10% from the show's first season, but the numbers do remain high. 2 weeks ago, the saga author and Dragon co-creator, executive producer George R. Martin, who has been complimenting about Dragon in the past year, posted on his blog that he was going to reveal everything that's gone wrong with the show. Smart money could have been wagered on this never happening. Surely HBO would do everything in its power to persuade Martin not to post. But last week, Martin did, and the result was fascinating. A candid rundown of his concern, which you can find a link to in the article, about the removal of a young character in the show, in his view, has already led to a key sequence being weakened in the second season and will cause greater creative issues in seasons 3 and 4. The post included some...
Just a note on that. Yeah. We were talking about this last night during the watch party on Dune Part 1. Yeah. And I said, little changes you make now have big repercussions down the line with these franchises.
Yep. For starters, there was a missing character in Dune Part 2 who's still in her mother's womb. But anyway, the post included some of his discussions with Ryan Condell, who became sole showrunner in season 2 after Miguel Sapochnik's the partner, and tipping to what showrunner has planned for the next season. Martin's post vanished within a few hours. Why do you think that happened?
They probably pulled out a contract and said, you got to work with us or you're in breach of contract.
An HBO insider says executives were frustrated but not surprised. Martin and HBO have been increasingly at loggerheads with the author privately making his concerns known for a while. The network also issued a statement saying it supports Condell's extraordinary work. Condell addressed the matter in a podcast in a rather heartfelt-sounding way. He basically amounted to, "We are trying the very best we can, and adapting this material is insanely hard. It's full of impossible choices. A sentiment the showrunners of Game of Thrones would certainly raise a glass to."
It's not an impossible choice. What you do is you extend out the series, whatever it takes to get all the details in there. You don't have to squeeze it all into one season. This is the problem. You know, as soon as you take shortcuts, people notice, they stop liking it. You're left with an empty bag, you dumbasses. And we'll get into it more with the next article. But this issue that George R.R. Martin and HBO is having, well, he needs to stop. You know, we'll get to it with the next article.
Amazon should have worked with Peter Jackson to make Rings of Power. Yeah. That makes
sense. But they don't have the rights to anything that Peter Jackson could work with.
People are confused about the Amazon Rings of Power series, and I'll admit I might even be wrong in this. But
you kept saying that you keep thinking
this is not related to the New Line Lord of the Rings movies,
and this is also not in any way related to the Silmarillion. They don't have the rights to the Silmarillion either. They have rights to the
appendices.
And if you were to look at the appendices, you'd be like, how do you make a story out of this? Well, you can't. They're just making up bullshit. But they're not staying constrained by the other stuff that's out there.
Did Amazon theoretically have the rights to do a series based on Lord of the Rings, the main story?
I don't think so.
I kept thinking they did, but they chose not to because the movies were so beloved, and I guess people still
I don't think they do. I think they only had the rights to the appendices. I mean, and that would be like, man, can you imagine if you were to do something with Dune and all you had the rights to was the book that came out in the 70s, the encyclopedia? How the hell do you tell a story based on that? You can't.
I think I think HBO is doing a series like that's supposed to be a Dune prequel series, right? That's like about the sisters or something. I saw a trailer.
And if they have the rights to the and from what I understand, this is how they're taking direct inspiration from the Brian Herbert and I'm forgetting his co-author, the books that they put out. Then fine. Nothing wrong with that. You know, those books exist. And if you want to adapt them, fine, you know, but this is made up bullshit that has nothing to do with anything Tolkien.
The problem with House of the Dragon is ruining Alice Ness and Rhaenyra by turning them into modern people instead of Middle Ages dynasties who pursue their own interests. Now, I've not read the Game of Thrones books. I did watch the original series, and one thing I did make a point that even though they would have gay characters on the show, it was in a medieval setting, so they couldn't be out about it.
Actually,
otherwise there'd be
to be honest with you, the funny thing is, I have read the books. And there are gay characters in the books. Yes. They are overtly gay, and they're not depicting them.
Well, I don't know. I know that the main culture...
It's like, it's right there. People just do it.
Anyway, I'm surprised there isn't a studio head aren't getting involved with how cancel how bad these films and put their writers and directors on notice. I don't know what's going on. I have a feeling... I can't speculate on Zaslav. I don't know what his modus operandi is. I thought he was trying to build the company up so they could sell it, but I don't know if that's what he was over there for.
Yeah,
like I know a lot is banking on Superman.
We always try to imagine, you know, what would we do if we were, but we're not in their position. They are not motivated by the same things that the fans are. If it was simple business rules, give the fans what they want, we will make money, most of the things you guys are thinking would make sense. But as Boomer just pointed out, sometimes they're just thinking about selling the product. Sometimes they're looking at licensing deals. Sometimes they're looking at the restrictions of other contracts and so forth. So it doesn't always make sense. And once you start finding these things out, you realize why this stuff is a bunch of crap.
Peter Gunn Superman hard pass, and you meant James Gunn. I would say Peter Gunn Superman might be interesting.
Yeah, James Gunn. Dun, 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 dun. Superman. Yes. Superman.
Game of Thrones author George R. R. Martin says he's not made much Winds of Winter progress lately as TV shows ate up time.
Yeah. So first I'm calling bullshit. He's a lazy fuck, and he's going to be dead before he ever gets to putting out another book. Okay, but and secondly, he's just sitting back and collecting the licensing dollars, which leads back to the last article when he puts out something that he's pissed off about, and they come with a contract and say, we got a licensing agreement with you, and you're in breach of that. Oh, sorry, I'll pull that. My bad. Because I want to keep the money coming in. Even though it's shit and I don't like it, I'll keep taking that money. Because then when the article says that there's friction between HBO and Martin should just say, you know what? Screw it. I'm done. I'm not no more contract with you. I don't want you putting out my stuff anymore. I'm just gonna go write this book and put it out and make a crap ton of money on the sequel book, and you have nothing to do with it. But he's not going to do that because he's a lazy fuck.
Let's read the article a little bit so we can hear him defend himself.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones creator George R. R. Martin said he's been making little progress lately with the Song of Ice and Fire book, the infamously delayed Winds of Winter, as his various TV shows ate up most of his time. Martin shared the update in a blog post where he discusses his mounting stress levels. The first half of the year was pretty miserable, Martin said, before explaining to a close friend died suddenly in January. Nor did I find much solace in my work, he added. Writing came hard, and though I did produce some new pages for both Winds of Winter, yes, and Blood and Fire, the sequel to Fire and Blood, the second part of my Targaryen history, I would have liked to turn out a lot more. My various television projects ate up most of those months. Some of that was pleasant, Dark Winds and The Hedge Knight. Most of it was not. The stress kept mounting. The news went from bad. How many shows is he involved in?
Yeah, there's some other ones that are not Game of Thrones related.
Okay, but the Dark Winds is not based on his writings. That's another author from the 70s that wrote a book about a Navajo sheriff who, it was a detective book series, and
maybe he's doing some script doctoring on it or something.
Maybe that's what it is, because I know he was seen as a producer on it. I figured they just slapped his name on there because, put George R. R. Martin's. Oh, that's the Game of Thrones guy. I'll watch this show, but I didn't think he was that involved with it. I thought he was just a producer. And from bad to worse, my mood seemed to swing between fury and despair. And at night, I tossed and turned when I should have been sleeping. When I did sleep well, my dreams were none too pleasant either. It's unclear which show TV Martin meant exactly. And he works on many silver screen projects beyond those related to Game of Thrones. But the author recently expressed frustration over House of the Dragon. Is he involved with House of the Dragon?
Apparently so, yeah.
Maybe that's what he's angry about.
And again, with the shadow of what we were just talking about in the previous article, I would say that's a big part of it. He's really not happy with the way things are going there.
Yeah. Song of Ice and the Fire must be disappointed to hear the lack of Winds of Winter. However, especially after hearing practically the same thing in 2023, the same number he'd given a year earlier, there's plenty of work to be done without actually increasing the page total, of course. What's the chat saying? Let me see. Troy, I like seeing him asking for a chocolate cake and for the baker to sign someone else and make a fruit cake instead. Yeah, there we go.
Exactly.
There we go. Maybe you can get Neil Gaiman's work on the book as a ghostwriter. I'm sorry.
Nate says, George R. R. Martin ain't doing nothing but getting fatter. Yeah, it's true.
Weight becomes harder to lose as you get older, people. So just watch yourself.
Actually, I had forgotten that was true, Curtis. He had done Beauty and the Beast back in the 80s, and honestly, I loved it.
Oh, did a lot of writing. He's been doing a lot of writing his whole life. Yeah, I mean,
keep in mind that was not an adaptation of anything. That was an original series that was going real well. Then he stepped away from it, and other people took over. It kind of started to go to shit. Sound familiar? It happens over and over again.
I'm getting sick of Game of Thrones BS getting into everything. Yeah, I don't know. We go with whatever is popular in the news lately.
I will tell you, this is another one of those examples where you love a book series, you want to see it translated into a series, it starts out good. You're hopeful. They compromise a little bit. And you're like, oh, maybe it'll still be. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And it's like, just screw it. I don't want to watch any of this anymore. I just want to read the books. Oh, I can't do that anymore because now the fat man is too busy working on his movies and TV shows.
I'm getting done with TV shows in general.
I know.
Maybe I'm trying to. I mean, Fallout. I'm watching them. That's my new show I started. I do like the actress on that, actually.
Fallout.
Yeah.
Another Kyle MacLachlan project, by the way.
Yeah.
He's never been involved in anything I didn't like, and I haven't seen him say any stupid bullshit on the interwebs. So, just saying.
Because he's a professional and just wants to act.
What he wants to do is he wants to act, make his money, and then go hang out in his vineyards. I like that guy. I really do.
Make good characters, make good stories, and no one will care what they identify as. Keep a gag on the political views of actors and watch.
And I'm sorry. There was a comment. I can't attribute it to. Oh, no, I can. It's still up there. Dark Woods Presents says gay people and women characters aren't the problem. They want the government subsidy for LGBTQ products. And again, I'm going to point out that's fine. There were a bunch of. There's plenty of gay in A Song of Ice and Fire that they sidestepped to infuse other things. And it's like, why do it? It's already there. It's, you don't have to change races of characters because there's already a diversity built into that show.
Or it could be The Witcher, where the only good thing they did was to hire Henry Cavill, and then they push him away. And of course, Sashi, you're in Malaysia, right? If I'm not mistaken, and you're just watching anime right now. Yeah, because I mean, this is why anime is becoming more popular over here as well. So our Korean dramas, even British stuff. Well, it seems to be better. I don't know.
Curtis, I am glad that I stuck to my guns because I had heard everybody saying, "Oh no, oh, you're talking about Rings of Power." I'm sorry. I was thinking of this. What is the dragon show? The prequel to Game of Thrones,
House of the Dragon.
Yeah, House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Everyone was saying it was so great. It was so great. It was wonderful. This is, a real change. And then I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I am not picking up a show that in the third season it's going to turn to shit.
I'm waiting for it to be finished. That's what I was going to
Exactly. And sure enough, by the end of the season, people are complaining about it. I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't waste my time.